So we're introducing Copyright Shield.
Copyright Shield means that we will step in and defend our customers and pay the costs incurred if you face legal claims around copyright infringement. And this applies both to ChatGPT Enterprise and the API.
Seriously? What am I doing this for? Have Dolly create a fast fashion ad starring Mickey Mouse.
Freeze, copyright police, put down the device.
Okay. No one's actually getting arrested for using generative AI tools to violate copyright law, at least not in this scenario. And that's because it's not yet clear to what extent copyright law applies to generative AI tools, which maybe helps to explain why OpenAI is offering to cover customers against copyright claims, if only to hash it out in court and settle the matter once and for all. My Digiday colleague Marty Swant has written about this generative AI copyright conundrum, so I asked him about what all is going on.
There are a number of worries and opportunities happening at the exact same time, both for people that want to use generative AI for text and video and photos, but also for people that are concerned about it, either concerned about having their intellectual property either copied or scraped or misused, but also people that maybe want to use AI that don't want to get caught in another legal battle by using AI.
And the legal battles are looming. Check out this letter the Federal Trade Commission wrote to the US Copyright Office, in which the regulator states pretty plainly there is no AI exemption from the laws on the books, and makes a thinly veiled threat to police the issue. The FTC wrote its letter in response to a call from the US Copyright Office for public comments as it studies how it may want to update existing copyright law to account for generative AI. That call solicited more than 9,000 comments, some arguing that generative AI tools do violate copyright law, others arguing they don't. Unsurprisingly, OpenAI was in the latter camp. In its comment to the Copyright Office, OpenAI argued that training AI models on copyrighted content does not violate copyright law and should be considered fair use. Of course, the company behind ChatGPT and DALL-E also made sure to emphasize how it tries to avoid training its AI models on copyrighted content. Google also invoked fair use in its letter to the Copyright Office, as did Microsoft. And so did News Media Alliance, a trade organization that represents more than 2,200 US publishers. But News Media Alliance argued the other side, that training AI models on copyrighted content is an infringement on publishers' intellectual property. Dotdash Meredith and its parent company IAC also made that case, as did the New York Times. What's clear from all these public comments is that there's no clear consensus at the moment when it comes to generative AI and copyright concerns, which is cause for concern for anyone looking to use generative AI for commercial reasons, like brands and agencies using generative AI for literal commercials.
Like we said, there's a million different things happening at once right now. And it's becoming a big procurement headache too for companies. What do they test? What's maybe above board and what's not? And so and what's above board now might not be in 6 months. It's really depending on the regulatory landscape.
Not that that procurement headache is stopping marketers from adopting generative AI tools. According to a recent Digiday Plus research survey of brands and agencies, 59% of brand respondents and 72% of agency respondents said they are using generative AI in their work. But while brands and agencies are using these tools, including for consumer-facing campaigns, that doesn't mean they're not wary of their AI use.
Yeah, a lot of agencies are telling brands as well. They're kind of wanting to only use this internally for now. Some are testing things externally, like different campaigns, like we've seen Coca-Cola's use stuff and whatnot. But a lot of them are wanting to be overly cautious and only do things internally while the copyright issues are hammered out. And that's been one of the main concerns I've heard a lot. What one agency CEO, the way she put it is, imagine doing a campaign in Times Square where everyone's going to see it. And you don't want to make the same mistake with AI where you put something out there and it's wrong or it's misused or you get in trouble for it. So it's because it is a very public thing that people are using right now.
So what can marketers do to alleviate this concern, at least until current copyright law is updated? Well, based on conversations I've had with agency executives, there seem to be three main ways that marketers can kind of navigate this conundrum. First, they can choose to only use generative AI tools trained on works where the creator has given consent, like Adobe Photoshop's Generative Fill and Getty Images' Generative AI by Getty Images, both of which are trained on the company's respective stock image libraries. Second, they can document the prompts they submit to generative AI tools when working on campaigns. That way, they have a record to show they did not intentionally violate any copyright if a claim is eventually made against them. And third, they can limit the use of AI-generated content to the pre-production process, only employing generative AI tools to mock up initial concepts like script outlines and mood boards, and then having real-life humans create the actual content.